It all happened long before I was even old enough to understand the world. I was barely 8 years old when a man named Uncle Viru, whose real name was Wazir Ali, entered our lives. He was my father Abba's childhood friend. Even though our small house consisted of just 2 rooms, Abba didn't hesitate to give him shelter. When Amma expressed her concern, Abba explained, "He is my brotherly friend, and he's going through a very tough phase right now with nowhere to go. I couldn't say no to him. Consider him like a younger brother-in-law." Amma gently asked, "You did the right thing, but where will he sleep?" Abba replied, "He can sleep in the children's room after they finish their studies. It's winter, otherwise I would have arranged a place for him on the terrace." Amma stayed silent after that, as she rarely argued with Abba's decisions. During the daytime, Viru worked at a local carpenter's workshop, and by evening he would return home. He never came back empty-handed. He always brought fresh fruits for us kids, and sometimes breakfast items like eggs and bread. He only ate breakfast with us. His lunch was with his employer, Din Muhammad, and he usually managed his dinner outside. On the rare evenings he was home, Abba insisted he join us. We children naturally called him Uncle because Abba treated him like a real brother. True to that bond, Viru also stepped up during our family's financial struggles. Abba's income was modest, and keeping the household running was a constant struggle. But after Viru arrived, things started improving. Once his personal expenses were covered, he willingly spent his own money on our household groceries. Whenever oil, lentils, or rice ran low, he would quietly restock them without taking a single penny from us. He would say, "I live under this roof too. It is my right to contribute to this home." He even told Amma, "If you truly consider me an uncle to these children, let me help." Amma was deeply moved by his generosity, firmly believing that Viru was a noble and kind-hearted soul. Since we gave him shelter, he constantly tried to repay that favor. In reality, Viru had left his own home after a bitter argument with his brother and sister-in-law. He refused to live with them anymore and instead started giving half of his earnings directly to our household expenses. That was the turning point when our family began living comfortably, and financially my parents finally felt at ease. There were 4 of us siblings, and I was the eldest. It was a time of pure innocence, and I genuinely cared for Uncle Viru. Whenever he asked me to fetch water or help with a small chore, I would gladly run and do it. Like any child, I loved treats, and Viru kept us happy by bringing cookies, sweets, and snacks every single day. Amma never objected, as she had fully embraced him as a member of our family. My parents shared one room, while all of us children slept on floor mats in the other. That room originally belonged to me and had my small bed, which had now been given to Uncle Viru. Looking back today, a deep sense of shame washes over me for ever calling that man Uncle. I am sharing this painful chapter of my life so that parents who blindly trust outsiders can take a serious lesson. In this harsh world, blood isn't always protection, and a stranger can never truly become your own. Exhausted after playing all day, my siblings and I would sleep deeply at night. We used to line up our sleeping mats on the floor. On top of school, I also helped Amma with daily household chores, leaving me utterly drained by nighttime. I would fall into such a deep sleep that I remained oblivious to everything around me. Besides, what could an innocent 4th-grade girl possibly comprehend? While my brothers and sisters were fast asleep, this man would silently pick me up and lay me on his bed. I couldn't make sense of anything. I would be half asleep, drifting in and out of consciousness. Afterwards, he would hand me money, chocolates, and cookies, strictly instructing me never to breathe a word of this to anyone. But even without his warning, how could I have told anyone when I didn't even understand what was being done to me? As time passed and I grew older, clarity began to dawn on me, but the horror didn't stop. The only difference now was that he began using filthy, inappropriate language with me. Sometimes I understood his words, and sometimes they went right over my head. It never even crossed my innocent mind that I was being systematically abused and exploited. Adjacent to the children's room, there was a small open space. Uncle Viru suggested to Abba, "If you agree, let's build 4 walls and a roof here. The carpenter is my friend, so he'll handle the woodwork for a low cost, and I'll build the rest myself. Abba was thrilled by the idea since our growing family desperately needed an extra room. Within days, the room was complete. Viru constructed an interconnecting door directly between our room and his new room. Abba placed a fresh bed inside and handed the key to Viru so he could have his own privacy while we children studied in our room. While my siblings and I slept in our space, Viru slept in his. But late at night, when the entire house was fast asleep, he would creep through that door into our room. By this time, I had started to realize the gravity of what he was doing. I built up the courage to tell him, "Uncle Viru, don't come into our room at night, or I will tell Abba and Amma." He scoffed and threatened me. "Your father will never believe you over me. I pay for half of this house." His words terrified me. He had intimidated me for so long that his control over me was absolute, and I lived in constant fear of him. This man lived under our roof for 8 whole years, continuing his monstrous behavior toward me. Eventually, my parents started worrying about his future, thinking it was time for him to settle down. At Abba's insistence, Amma searched for a suitable match among our relatives, and Viru got married. After the wedding, he spent a few days with his new wife, but soon enough, the nightmare restarted. Whenever his wife went to visit her parents, he would slip right back into our room. I suffered in complete silence, unable to tell a soul. The internal agony was suffocating. My parents had raised us with such strict discipline that even the thought of getting scolded felt like a death sentence. I was terrified of how Abba might react, and I lacked the courage to confide in Amma. Every time I tried to resist, Viru would threaten me into silence. He was an adult and I was completely trapped under his thumb. One day he said to Abba, "My boss overworks me and pays too little. I want to open my own shop, save up, and eventually buy my own house." Wanting to support him, Abba took loans from friends and handed over his entire life savings to help Viru start his business. A few months later, Viru suddenly sold the shop and left forever. He left, but he abandoned me in a living hell, leaving my conscience shattered and my soul traumatized. My mind was perpetually distracted, and I lost interest in everything. A strange, heavy restlessness consumed me. Seeing my breaking state, my friends kept asking what was wrong, but how could I explain that I was mourning my lost dignity? A dignity brutally stolen by a man we trusted? The trauma completely derailed my life, and I couldn't even pass my final exams. That man was gone, and the golden, carefree days of my youth turned into ashes. After his departure, I felt utterly hollow. Though a small part of me breathed a sigh of relief that the monster was gone, my mind remained shrouded in darkness. I had secretly loved my cousin, Yasser, for a long time, but now, a crushing realization took hold of me. I felt I was no longer pure or worthy of his love. Tragically, when his family agreed to the match and he expressed his desire to marry me, I made the painful choice to reject him. It broke my heart into 1,000 pieces, but I felt I had no other way out. When our parents were planning our marriage, Yasser pulled me aside one day and said sincerely, "Listen, I deeply care for you and want to spend my life with you, but you must tell me one thing truth. Have you ever had any past relationship? I can tolerate anything, but never a lie." Hearing those words, my world completely shattered. How could I bring myself to tell Yasser that the most precious thing a woman possesses, her honor, had been stolen from me when I was just a child? Choking back my tears and breaking my own heart, I looked at him and said, "Yasser, please forget about me. I respect you, but not as a life partner. I cannot marry you because I love someone else." How desperately I wished I could have told him the painful truth. That even if my past felt stained, my heart was pure. That I was just an innocent victim of childhood torture and abuse, and that he was the only man I had ever loved. But I understood Yasser's temper. I knew that even if I poured my heart out about my helplessness and trauma, society and pride would never truly forgive me. People easily act like noble saviors in words, but when a sharp thorn pierces deep into the heart, it is almost impossible for them to pull it out. Friends, I hope this emotional story touched your heart and served as a reminder to always protect our children. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more meaningful stories. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.